Alright guys, welcome back to Micro Starcraft 2. Today I'm going to be showing you the Zatic build. The Zatic build is a classic Terran versus Protoss build, and it's only for Terran against Protoss. You do not want to use this against Zerg or another Terran because it's just not as effective. Now a little bit on the background and history of this build. It is invented obviously by this guy called Zatic, and it's also popularized by him. The goal of this build is to establish an expansion, a very fast expansion, by pushing the Protoss back with your Marauders. The result is you deal a lot of damage to the Protoss, and you set the Protoss back while achieving a resource advantage to out macro your opponent. Alright, let's show you how it's done. Let's get into the replay. This is me, of course. I'm actually playing against a computer, but I'm just going to show you the build order, where to build, so you can actually have a visualization of what's going on. And afterwards, I have pro replays attached to my videos, so you can see what the pros are actually doing. Because when you watch pro replays and shoutcasts, the cameras are never over the base 100% of the time, and no one's actually teaching you what to do, so it's really hard to see it. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to show you what to do, and you guys can watch the replay and see how this build can impact your game. Alright, so you want to continue the production of SCVs until you have about 9 SCVs. Once you get to about 9 SCVs, you should wait until you get about 50 minerals. Then you grab one of the SCVs that just returned a mineral, and you tell him to get to the ramp. By the time this SCV gets to the ramp, you should have just enough 100 minerals to build your first supply depot. And once you have 50 minerals again, you resume SCV production. But you do not produce your 11th SCV. You give it a rest for just a little bit, because once this little SCV finishes production, you just wait for it. A brief second, you'll accumulate to about 150 minerals, and once you have these 150 minerals, you want to throw down the barracks. And then you should resume SCV production. Alright, and at 11 population, when you have enough minerals, you want to throw down the refinery. And as soon as the refinery is done, you want to put 2 more SCVs to get gas from the refinery. And you want to keep on producing SCVs until you have about 14 SCVs. When you get to 14 SCVs, you build another barracks about here. And for your first barracks, you want to build a marine to get rid of the scouting probe in your base. And of course, I'm playing a computer, so there's no scouting probes in my base. And also, this is a very good time to scout after you completed your first barracks, because usually if you scout too early, you will not to get any useful information anyway. And as soon as the first marine is done, you want to throw down the tech lab. And make sure you number your barracks together. And you keep on producing SCVs. Remember, once the second barracks is done, you want to attach the reactor to the second barracks. And once the reactor is attached to the second barracks, you stop building SCVs. And you also want to build your supply depot at about 17 population, just so that you don't get supply capped. Alright, I'm building my first Marauder. You need about 3 Marauders. Keep on building non-stop. And as soon as the second barracks is done, you want to put the reactor onto the second barracks. I'm a little late here, but you do need to build your second reactor as soon as you can. You're doing a good job keeping the production of the second Marauder up. Reactors on the second. And also, while you're building the second Marauder, You want to wait until you have 15 minerals, and then you research the concussive shell. This way, by the time your third marauder comes out and you start to move out, you would have concussive shells. Alright. See, my reactor is done. You want to build 2 marines immediately. This is the part where you kind of stop building SCVs in favor to save up for the second command center at your natural expo. And when this 2 marines are out, you want to grab another SCV to go to your natural expansion, while you grab your skeleton SCV to go with your main forces to the Protoss base. And by the time your little force gets to the Protoss base, you should have just about 400 minerals. So throw down a command center immediately. And once you get to the Protoss base, you have 2 options. The first option is pretty much what I'm doing right here. It is to run up and down the ramp and focus attack on anything that moves. You should stop and back away from the ramp immediately if you see a sentry, because his force fields will cut your forces in half, and the Protoss will just finish half of it and go after the other half. So if you see that, move away from the ramp. If you want, you can build a bunker next to its expo right here, so that the Protoss can't fast expand, while you have an expansion of. Your forces, especially the Marauders, get owned by the probes. The probes surround Marauders very easily and very fast. So move away when you see a cluster of friggin' probes moving at you. But as soon as the probe move back to the mineral lines, you go back immediately and hit the probes. As soon as they pull the probes again, you move away from them. You know, don't go into hand-to-hand melee combat with the probes, because you will get surrounded and you will lose your forces. It's bad. Okay? And also, this build is designed to set your expansion up. It's not designed to defeat the Protoss, unless the Protoss is very, very, very greedy. Otherwise, just don't overcommit into the Protoss base. You know, make sure as many as your units is alive. The second option is that if they have a sentry, or if they have a choke or block, or if he has a lot of units, you want to back down, and then you want to build a bunker about right here near his natural expo, so that he can't defeat your forces, but he can't expand either, and you kind of contain them inside his own base. And this containment works up to 35 population. This is like a time counter. By the time you get to about 35 populations, you want to think about getting the hell out of there. At 35 population is usually when Immortals come out, and as you know, Immortals, along with the rest of the Protoss army, will be able to eradicate your little SAT force right here. So once you get too close to about 35 population, you want to think about salvaging your bunker and move out. Once they get their Immortals out, they do 50 damage to your bunkers and 50 damage to your Marauders, and it's just rapage right there. So you want to move out before, around 35. And also, if a Protoss base is open like this, you might want to actually go in the base and scout and see what else they have. And there are a couple things that you should do and react to if based on what you see. The first one is that if you scout about 2 to 3 gates opening up, you should pull back your forces to the natural expansion and establish defense there, establish bunkers there. So pretty much all you have to do is to survive the first attack to win the game, because you have, well, 2 expansions and they don't. You have 1 expansion, 2 bases, 1 expansion, they don't. And also the second one is if you scout a fast